Career prep electives can be the choice that gives your high schooler a strong foundation for the jobs of tomorrow. With career pathways in high-demand fields, students gain real-world skills that help them get ahead right out of high school. K-12-powered career prep students leave high school more than ready for their future. They're built for it. Be future-built with K-12. Learn more at k12.com/radio.
When it comes to COVID vaccines, you have the power and the responsibility to spread accurate information. It doesn't matter the number of followers you have or the number of likes you get on your social media channels. You can be a huge influencer for all the people that trust and love you. That's why before liking or sharing something, double check to ensure the information is not false. This message is brought to you by Unidos US. Visit unidosus.org/trustedinfo. Possible with funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
This is Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station, KNX 1070 News Radio. Good evening, I'm Karen Adams.
And I'm Brian Ping. Our top local story at 6:30, COVID-19 cases jump in LA County, and public health officials say younger people are driving this latest surge.
New cases are now about 10 times higher than they were a month ago. The average number of people testing positive is about 4 times higher, and hospitalizations nearly 3 times higher.
And it's just getting worse by the day.
While the numbers remain far below what we saw during the winter surge, Dr. Peter Katona, a professor of medicine and public health at UCLA, says he's very concerned.
But this is in no way surprising.
He points to the spread of the highly contagious Delta variant and the fact that there are still a few million people in LA County who are unvaccinated. Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer compares the current increase in cases to what we saw last summer. But she notes millions of people are now vaccinated and says she hopes we'll avoid a similar increase in deaths. So far, that's the one category in which we've seen no upswing. Claudia Pescuta, KNX 1070 News Radio.
And while most Californians were hunkering down and masking up throughout the pandemic, millions apparently didn't bother to do either. More than 1 out of every 5 California adults surveyed by UCLA say they never or only sometimes followed state COVID-19 guidelines. And Todd Hughes, who directed the survey, tells KNX there's a parallel that's highly relevant at this stage of the pandemic.
What was especially interesting was when we looked in more detail at those who had not been vaccinated and those who said they would not get the vaccine, they were even more likely to report that they never or only sometimes followed the state and local guidelines. And in fact, only about 2/3 of them said that they always wore a mask when they left their home during the mask mandate.
A majority of California adults ignored COVID restrictions by gathering with people outside of their household when the state guidelines were still in effect.
Governor Newsom is leaving the door open to reinstating statewide coronavirus restrictions if infections continue to spike. He was asked if he may mandate that people get vaccinated.
We do not have vaccine passports. We do have digitized vaccine cards, which millions of Californians have availed themselves to, but we distinguish that from any passports or mandates.
The governor says nearly 77% of California adults have received at least 1 dose of vaccine, one of the highest vaccination rates in the country, but he says it's still too low, something he blames in part on what he calls right-wing pundits.
LA area bars and lounges may be leading the way when it comes to COVID vaccine passports.
The Permanent Records Roadhouse in Cypress Park is now requiring customers to show either proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test in order to get past the gatekeeper.
We decided to go that route for 2 main reasons. Out of solidarity for the other bars in the area that were also going that way, and also for the protection of our staff and our customer base.
Lance Parisi is owner of the venue, which offers live music. It's a bar, lounge, and record store.
We just want everybody to be as safe as they possibly can. We'd really prefer that people not come here if they're not vaccinated.
Parisi says his new vaccine policy has gotten some negative social media mentions, but for the most part, from people who don't even live in L.A. Charles Feldman, KNX 1070 News Radio.
LA County's reinstated indoor mask mandate has left business owners with the responsibility of enforcing the rules.
While the mask requirement was put back in place to address rising COVID-19 case numbers due to the highly contagious Delta variant, it is challenging for retailers to be put in the position of essentially being the mask police again.
We're not law enforcement. We're not, this is not the business retailers are in, is to enforce these types of public health orders.
Rachel Michelin, president of the California Retailers Association, says it puts retailers and small business owners in particular in a really difficult position.
We always worry about the frustration coming out in acts of violence. We saw that before. We saw instances of employees and other customers being yelled at, being spit on, in some cases hit.
She says they do not want to go back there. This far into the pandemic, she says it would be nice to have public health officers reach out to them ahead of time so they can collectively work on solutions. Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
The mayor of New York says the time to act is now. Bill de Blasio has announced a new requirement for the city's healthcare workers.
Every single one of those employees has a choice. Get vaccinated, the better choice, or get tested weekly. And at any point, you could decide, hey, I'm ready to get vaccinated. Then you don't need to get tested weekly anymore.
De Blasio says the step is being taken because of the quick spread of the Delta variant. Harvey Weinstein appeared before a judge in L.A. today, answering more sex assault charges. Details coming up after traffic at 6:35.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. Here's today's Fondo.
Had a deadly crash happen today on the 91 westbound past Imperial. Started in the fast track lanes. Both lanes are still closed, as well as the two left lanes on the main line. And you've got a westbound backup that begins at just about Green River. And we are 3 hours into this SIG alert now on the 91 westbound, just past Imperial. And again, a very tough ride for you westbound as you head out of the Santa Ana Canyon. On the 5 southbound at the 22 westbound, new problem reported here. We've got a stalled out car reported. It is on the right shoulder with the driver out trying to flag down some help. We also have a problem in El Monte on the 10 west. This is right at Peck Road. CHP was holding all the lanes to clear this 4-car crash out of the 2 left lanes. And a new problem reported on the 14. This is on the southbound side in Santa Clarita, just past San Canyon. We've got tire tread in your far right lane. Next report, 6:45, with more traffic reports more often from the Toyota of Glendora.com Traffic Center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Well, another day tomorrow with valleys topping out at 100 degrees, 70s and 80s elsewhere, mid to upper 80s for the base. And then on Friday, the valleys come down to mid-90s. We're going to have a bit of a deeper marine layer to go along with that. Checking some of the current temps, LAX right now, you've got 71 degrees. It is 82 in Los Alamitos. Claremont has 90 at 6:37.
Former movie mogul Harvey Weinstein was already in a New York prison after being convicted of sexual assault charges involving 2 women. But LA prosecutors extradited him to LA yesterday to face charges involving other women. He appeared in an L.A. courtroom today.
His attorney had fought the transfer, arguing that Harvey Weinstein needs lengthy medical treatment to save his eyesight. But L.A. prosecutors countered that he can get the medical care here instead, so he was flown to L.A., and his lawyer entered a not guilty plea during the brief hearing. Gloria Allred represents 2 alleged victims in this case.
So this day is long overdue for Mr. Weinstein to appear in a Los Angeles County courtroom.
And yet Weinstein's attorney, Mark Worksman, made it very clear what his client thinks of the charges.
He absolutely, unequivocally, and categorically denies the allegations in this indictment.
The attorney believes 3 of the 11 counts against Mr. Weinstein should be dismissed based on the statute of limitations. Case comes back to court July 29th. In downtown L.A., John Baird, KNX 1070 News Radio.
A busy day for an Orange County attorney turned convicted felon in the New York Nike extortion case. Now he's battling federal financial criminal charges here.
Federal prosecutors say one of Michael Avenatti's victims is the founder of Ipsy, a designer makeup delivery service, Michelle Phan, that she hired him to handle the sale of her company for over $8 million. Prosecutors say Avenatti kept half of that money for himself. With another client, they alleged he kept a $4 million injury settlement with L.A. County secret from the client. In his opening statement, Avenatti told jurors the government doesn't have its numbers right, that the allegations are entirely false. He's acting as his own attorney, defending himself, but proving he committed 10 counts of embezzlement is the government's burden regardless. He needs just one juror to question a witness's credibility. At the Orange County Federal Courthouse, Craig Figner, KNX 1070 News Radio.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has rejected 2 GOP appointments to the Select Committee that will investigate the deadly January 6th riot by a mob of Trump supporters at the Capitol. Pelosi objected to both congressmen because they have objected to the results of last year's presidential election. Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of Bakersfield did not hold back in his response to Pelosi's decision.
Undeniable, this panel has lost all legitimacy and credibility. And it shows exactly what I warned back at the beginning of January, that Pelosi would play politics with this.
McCarthy now says he will pull all of the Republicans he selected for the committee.
GOP Congresswoman Liz Cheney is planning to stay on the committee because she was appointed to the panel by Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Cheney says at every opportunity, McCarthy is trying to block a fair investigation into the January 6th Capitol riots.
The American people deserve to know what happened. The people who did this must be held accountable. There must be an investigation that is nonpartisan, that is sober, that is serious, that gets to the facts wherever they may lead.
This is not the first time that Cheney has been at odds with her party. Back in February, she was stripped of her House leadership role after she voted in favor of impeaching Mr. Trump.
Call it a swing and a miss. The White House was hoping for passage of a bipartisan infrastructure bill, but it failed to pass a procedural vote on the Senate floor.
They're playing Russian roulette with our economy. The amount of spending and taxing and debt is really threatening the financial stability of our country.
Playing with the debt limit is really playing with fire.
This latest political fight comes on top of GOP opposition to the Senate Democrats' proposed $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill focused on what they're calling human infrastructure. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A win for conservative radio host Larry Elder. He's going to be on the recall ballot after all here in California. Election officials kept him off the ballot because he filed incomplete tax returns. A judge ruled against the state today, and Elder will be among 42 candidates on the ballot against Governor Gavin Newsom.
Checking the rough drives again at 6:45, including the 101 between Sherman Oaks and Studio City at 6:41.
Get your pet medications delivered hassle-free from Chewy. We make shopping for prescriptions easy. Simply choose the product that's right for your pet. We'll contact your vet and take care of the rest. Save on pet prescriptions and more. Visit Chewy.com today.
Move in with Frontier.
Hey, it's us. Your 10 o'clock video conference meeting?
Sorry, I was on mute.
We heard you were moving.
It's time to upgrade to Frontier.
With upload speeds as fast as download speeds, Frontier fiber optic internet is lightning fast.
And it's just $59.99 per month plus activation fee for 500 meg service. And the router's included.
So, let's talk next steps.
Make the switch.
Move in with Frontier. Go to getfrontier.com for complete offer details. Service is subject to availability and all terms and conditions.
In LA, it's always outdoor season, and Cinch makes it ridiculously easy for you to be ready to grill. Cinch brings the propane to you. Go to cinch.com, enter your zip code, select your delivery date, and Cinch handles the rest. There is no ongoing commitment necessary. New customers get their first propane tank exchange for just $10 using promo code LAGrill. You heard right. Get your first tank exchange for just $10 with code LAGrill. That's cinch.com, promo code LAGrill. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Visit cinch.com/offer for details.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Thinking of buying a house and want a really low interest rate? Owning has a special for home purchases, where Owning pays all your closing costs, and the rate in APR is an unheard of 1 3/4% for a 15-year fixed mortgage with 20% down. This is the craziest low rate for a mortgage with no closing costs that Owning has ever done. 1 3/4% rate in APR. Heck, we're almost paying you to live in a new house. Call 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if you qualify for this crazy low 1 3/4% rate. That's a fixed rate loan at 1 3/4% with no closing costs. Call 833-2-OWNING now because 1 3/4 could go away at any time.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval. Offer assumes the use of lender's choice escrow and title services. Call 833-858-0066 for terms and conditions.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com. 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
Looking for a way to make online learning a better option for your family? When it comes to virtual learning, experience matters. Tuition-free K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of experience to work for you, giving your child the personalized learning they deserve without disruptions. With a K-12 powered school, students gain the skills they need to be prepared for their next steps in life, building a better future for each one of us. K-12, education for anyone. Learn more at k12.com.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Several other cars involved in this deadly wreck, and the fast track lanes are still closed, and the two left lanes on the main line are still closed, according to CHP, with that westbound side backed up out of the Santa Ana Canyon, starting at just about Green River. We also have a crash on the 91 eastbound that is right at Weir Canyon, also in Anaheim Hills. Car fire reported in the North Hills area on the 405 northbound, just a little south of Nordoff, and LA Fire Department is on the way to that. We also have a new problem on the 5. This is Boyle Heights on the 5 south, right at the 10. We've got a crash reported in the left lane, and we've got a crash in Burbank on the 5 northbound that is just a little south of Western. You're going to an NFL game or event at SoFi Stadium? Pre-book your parking online at iparkandgo.com. 6 convenient remote park and shuttle locations to get you in and out of SoFi Stadium fast. Book now at iparkandgo.com. Next report, 6:55 with more traffic reports, more often from the Toyota of Glendora.com Traffic Center. KNX 1070 News Radio.
Started out the day for some of the coastal folks with the low clouds and fog activity, but this afternoon into this evening, expect numbers to warm into the upper 70s for the beaches. Really nice day there. 80s for LA and Orange County, while the valleys will see temperatures in the 90s under full sunshine. Inland Empire looking at a mainly sunny sky, low triple digits for you today and tomorrow. 103 for the high desert this afternoon and evening, while the mountains will see temperatures in the upper 70s. We could see isolated shower or storm in the mountain areas. With Southern California's most accurate and dependable forecast, I'm CBS 2 meteorologist Markina Brown, KNX 1070 News Radio.
And checking some of the current temperatures, 86 in Beverly Hills, Van Nuys, 93 at 647.
County firefighters and those from the Angeles National Forest managed to stop a brush fire in Azusa before it could reach homes or spread into large unburned areas nearby.
The Fish Canyon fire started at the base of the Encanto Equestrian Park just after 1:30 in the afternoon. LA County Fire Battalion Chief Eugene Ramirez said within minutes they had 14 engines on scene, plus 3 camp crews, 140 personnel in all, and help from the air.
With the quick action of our water jumping helicopters, we were able to limit it to approximately 10 acres.
After stopping the fire's forward progress, camp crews dragged 1,000 feet of hose line up the mountain in 100-degree weather to put out the hot spots. No homes were threatened, but some crews will remain here overnight to ensure that embers don't cause a reignition of the blaze. In Azusa, Pete Demetrio, KNX 1070 News Radio.
The drought could be creating wildfires that burn hotter than normal. UC Davis climate modeling professor Paul Ulrich tells CBS Sacramento there's not a lot of moisture in the ground, and it leaves vegetation and forests in a state where a single spark can easily start a big fire. It can also set off severe weather patterns.
Dry lightning is basically when you have a storm which doesn't have the accompanying precipitation.
That lightning can then start fires. Professor Ulrich says water-dropping aircraft and more rain are the two major things that would help slow down fires.
A bill signed by Governor Newsom today will ensure efforts to combat organized retail crime continue.
Speaking at a local business in Long Beach, the governor said,
"We've been organized in a very deliberative manner to address the issue of organized retail crime for a number of years. That said, We are doubling down on those efforts today with this bill.
The legislation reenacts the crime of organized retail theft and extends the CHP's Organized Retail Crime Task Force until 2026. The bill's author, Assemblyman Reginald Jones Sawyer, says another component focuses on how to get services to those who are victims.
I'm meaning the ones that are organized by these racketeers to go in and steal. They have problems with poverty, homelessness. They have problems with maybe domestic violence, or there's just some mother who's just trying to feed their kids.
He says those individuals should not be criminalized. In Long Beach, Margaret Carrero, KNX 1070 News Radio.
LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva blames the increase in retail theft on Prop 47 and district attorneys like George Gascon, who he says refuse to prosecute this kind of theft.
So you can form all the task force you want with the CHP that has literally nothing to do with retail theft anywhere in the state of California, and it's not going to help the situation. What we need is actually enforce the rule of law.
Sheriff Villanueva says local law enforcement should handle this problem with district attorneys willing to prosecute. He says failing to do this will ruin small businesses and lead to a lawless society. It's 6:50. Let's get a check of your money with Andrew O'Day.
The reopening of restaurant dining rooms, bars, ballparks, and other venues to the public has done big things for the real thing. Coca-Cola says its sales jumped 37% over the spring, a much stronger increase than forecast, helping its profit also push past predictions. Along with a glass for a toast, Coke is raising its forecast for the full year, but warns higher costs for raw materials and transportation remain challenges. Strong earnings reports helped Coke's another advance for stock indexes today, meaning Monday's nasty market losses have now been fully reclaimed. Dow rallied 286, NASDAQ up 133, S&P 500 up 36. As many types of businesses suffered badly during the pandemic, most companies connected in any way to upgrading the home had a strong run, and results from Whirlpool after the bell today suggest the run isn't over. The big appliance maker reports stronger than forecast profit and sales during the spring as higher prices failed to scare away buyers. It's also hiking its full-year sales forecast. I'm Bloomberg's Andrew O'Day from the True Mortgage Money Desk, KNX 1070 News Radio.
The electric car revolution could be harming the environment. More in 90 seconds. It's 6:51.
In LA, it's always outdoor season, and Cinch makes it ridiculously easy for you to be ready to grill. Cinch brings the propane to you. Go to cinch.com, enter your zip code, select your delivery date, and Cinch handles the rest. There is no ongoing commitment necessary. New customers get their first propane tank exchange for just $10 using promo code LAGrill. You heard right. Get your first tank exchange for just $10 with code LAGrill. That's cinch.com, promo code LAGrill. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Visit cinch.com/offer for details.
There's a whole newsroom inside your smart speaker.
Reporting live from Norwalk.
Breaking news from Agora Hills.
Just say, hey, Alexa, play KNX 1070 and get breaking news live around the clock.
Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station. KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Are you still driving around with that check engine light on? AMCO will read and report the trouble codes on your vehicle for free. Call them today.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Thinking of buying a house and want a really low interest rate? Owning has a special for home purchases, where Owning pays all your closing costs, and the rate and APR is an unheard of 1.75% for a 15-year fixed mortgage with 20% down. This is the craziest low rate for a mortgage with no closing costs that Owning has ever done. 1.75% rate and APR. Heck, we're almost paying you to live in a new house. Call 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if you qualify for this crazy low 1.75% rate. That's a fixed rate loan at 1.75% with no closing costs. Call 833-2-OWNING now, because 1.75% could go away at any time.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval. Offer assumes the use of lender's choice escrow and title services. Call 833-858-80066 for terms and conditions.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com. 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
Lanes are still blocked on the 91 in Anaheim Hills because of that deadly crash earlier today. Helping with that again and more in 2 minutes is 6:53.
California's electric vehicle revolution may be causing some environmental problems.
Electric cars are designed to help save the planet from climate change.
But it is absolutely the case that we can create more problems than solutions if we build out this electric future the wrong way.
That's Douglas McCauley, a marine science professor at UC Santa Barbara. He tells KNX materials to make the batteries for these cars come from the ocean floor.
And I think that very firmly, at least from the data that I've reviewed on potential impacts of ocean mining, suggests that this new activity sits very firmly in the wrong way to build out our electric future, wrong way to combat climate change.
And he says hurting the ocean might make climate change worse. He says the best answer is to scour electronic trash heaps for the materials they need. Rob Archer, KNX 1070 News Radio.
While the numbers of shelter beds and permanent housing units are going up in L.A. County, they still fall far short of meeting the needs of a huge homeless population.
We've seen a much bigger increase in shelter beds than permanent housing units since 2019. Much of that is due to Project Roomkey, a program intended to quickly get high-risk homeless people off the streets during the pandemic. The L.A. Homeless Services Authority reports only 529 permanent housing units were added last year. Another 13,000 are in the pipeline. LAHSA's annual homeless count was canceled this year due to COVID concerns, but is expected to resume in January.
And it goes without saying that the shelter-in-place order really increased our encampment visibility.
LAHSA Executive Director Heidi Marston.
The CDC issued guidance that restricted encampment cleanups for some time to make sure that we weren't spreading the virus. So we saw encampments become more visible. We don't know that that correlates to more people experiencing homelessness, but no question that the homelessness crisis looks worse than it did pre-COVID.
The most recent count done early last year before the pandemic hit put the county's homeless population at more than 66,000. The LA County Economic Development Corporation estimates more than 20,000 people became homeless later last year. Claudia Pescuta, KNX 1070 News Radio.
COVID cases are on the rise in L.A. County. More than 2,500 reported today. More at 7:05 after CBS News. Right now it's 6:55.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the Fly, sponsored by Nick Alexander Imports. Here's Denise Fondo.
We still have activity with a deadly crash that happened over 3 hours ago on the 91 westbound. This is past Imperial in Anaheim Hills. The crash happened in the fast track lanes, and you've had the two left lanes of the main line closed for this as well. That westbound side is still slow as you make your way out of the Santa Ana Canyon. We also have a new problem reported on the 5. This is on the northbound side of the 5, just south of the 118 injury wreck there, and then 5 southbound in Downey, little south of Lakewood Boulevard. We've got a new crash reported, possible injuries in that one as well. In Hawthorne on the 105 westbound, coming up on Prairie Avenue, we've got a 2-car wreck reported out in the far right lane. And on the 210, if you're on the eastbound side, right at the 57, it looks like we're going to see a break in traffic. We've got an 18-wheeler in a bit of trouble there, and CHP, of course, is on the way to see whether we need that break in traffic. Again, that is on the 210 eastbound, and it's right at the 57, and there may be some injuries in that wreck as well. From the Nick Alexander Certified Collision Repair Center, if your BMW or Mini gets into a fender bender, tell your insurance company to send it to the only BMW and Mini Certified Collision Center in all of LA County. Call 800-800-NICK, and remember, Nick can't say no. Next report, 7:05 with more traffic reports more often from the Toyota of Glendora.com Traffic Center, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Move in with Frontier.
Hey, it's us. Your 10 o'clock video conference meeting?
Sorry, I was on mute.
We heard you were moving.
It's time to upgrade to Frontier.
With upload speeds as fast as download speeds, Frontier fiber optic internet is lightning fast.
And it's just $59.99 per month plus activation fee for 500 meg service. And the router's included.
So, let's talk next steps.
Make the switch.
Moving with Frontier.
Go to getfrontier.com for complete offer details. Services subject to availability and all terms and conditions.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is so innovative, it not only improves the lives of veterans, it transforms the lives of healthcare professionals who serve them with access to the latest technologies and remarkable benefits. Transform your future at vacareers.va.gov.
Could be covered with potato chips, and we wouldn't crack one.
Really? Are your windows affordable?
You will be surprised at how affordable they are because they are designed, manufactured, and installed all by the same people. No one else in Southern California can say that.
And I hear you're offering a special deal for our listeners. Pick up your phone right now. Aaron will give you 20% off your entire order and 1 year of interest-free financing.
But you have to call right now.
You don't want to miss out on this great offer. Call California Deluxe Windows right now. The number is 800-843-1400. That's 800-843-1400, 800-843-1400. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you. Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number 77451.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
And AMCO offers payment plan options for almost any credit situation, so it's easier than ever to fix it fast and pay it off slow.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Thinking of buying a house and want a really low interest rate? Owning has a special for home purchases, where Owning pays all your closing costs, and the rate in APR is an unheard of 1.75% for a 15-year fixed mortgage with 20% down. This is the craziest low rate for a mortgage with no closing costs that Owning has ever done. 1.75% rate in APR. Heck, we're almost paying you to live in a new house. Call 833-2-OWNING or go to owning.com to see if you qualify for this crazy low 1.75% rate. That's a fixed rate loan at 1.75% with no closing costs. Call 833-2-OWNING now because 1.75% could go away at any time.
NMLS 2611, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act, subject to credit approval. Offer assumes the use of lender's choice escrow and title services. Call 833-858-0066 for terms and conditions.
That's 833-2-OWNING or owning.com. 833-2-OWNING or owning.com.
The news you need from the station you trust.
Live from the KNX studios in Los Angeles.
Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station.
KNX KRTH FM HD2 Los Angeles.
KNX 1070 News Radio. Depend on us.
An Odyssey station.
Coming up, our top local story, COVID infections, which were down to a little over 100 a day a month ago, soar past 2,500. It's 7 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by American Queen Steamboat Company.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper in Chicago. Another municipality in California makes COVID vaccines mandatory for all city workers. CBS's Lisa Mateo.
Pasadena is joining the likes of San Francisco, requiring all city employees to roll up their sleeves once the shots receive federal approval. The news comes days after about a dozen workers tested positive. The city has more than 2,000 employees. About 60% of them have said they've been vaccinated. According to Pasadena's director of public health, the average daily number of confirmed COVID cases in the city is up by 240% since July 1st. Lisa Mateo, CBS News.
New COVID cases are surging across the country due to the Delta variant and the slowdown in vaccinations. Dr. Catherine O'Neill in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, has had it with vaccine skeptics and hesitancy.
We are either going to get vaccinated and end the pandemic, or we are going to accept death.
A fight on Capitol Hill after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejects two of Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's picks for the Capitol Attack Select Committee. CBS's Nicole Killian says there is one Republican member of the committee who doesn't see eye to eye with McCarthy.
Wyoming Republican Liz Cheney, appointed by Democrats, remains on the committee.
The rhetoric around this from the Minority Leader and from those two members has been disgraceful. This must be an investigation that is focused on facts.
Democratic committee members say they plan to proceed with their first hearing next Tuesday with testimony from law enforcement officers who were on the front lines as part of their probe to get to the root causes of the riot.
This is serious business here. This isn't a game.
That's Maryland Democrat Jamie Raskin. Thousands of firefighters have contained more than 30% of Oregon's bootleg fire. KXL's Annette Newell reports.
The largest wildfire in the country is not devouring land as fast now, and investigators have figured out how it started.
We've been able to determine that the fire was caused by lightning.
lightning, so a natural caused fire.
That lightning strike July 6th led to an inferno,
which is now the largest wildfire in the country. A shortage of semiconductor chips used to make vehicles has had an effect on auto and other production. CNET editor-at-large Ian Shore says, the shortage is one factor keeping the prices of goods high.
It's looking like a lot of products are still going to be expensive, and that's on top of other restrictions that are going on, including tariffs, which have been instituted over the last couple of years and are still impacting prices.
Senate Republicans reject an effort to start debate on a bipartisan infrastructure deal. Republican senators say they need time to review the final details. Another vote could take place next week. And a South African firm will make the Pfizer vaccine the first in Africa. This is CBS News.
Discover the heart of America with American Queen Steamboat Company's authentic paddle wheel riverboats. They offer all-inclusive journeys on the mighty rivers of the U.S. Visit AQSC.com.
If the pandemic's taught us anything, it's that the easiest way for germs to get into your body